Hi,
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are
I'm
you?
good. Just some work stresses that always pop out. I'm like, I can't stay at work late. I have to go.
Oh no,
God,
we're happy you made it.
Me too.
that would have been exciting in a bad way.
Right?
Kind of excitement we don't want.
Pooja, remind me to hit record on this.
Okay, I will.
I always
I'll give
forget.
that little, I'll give you your cue and I'll say, just FYI, this call will be recorded, and you'll be like, oh yeah,
Recording in progress.
this call is being recorded.
That's right. I hope some people jump on from Slack. Would be good.
Hopefully Michelle comes on.
Yes, I know she will for sure.
Definitely.
Alicia, how's your week been?
It's been good. It's been stressful, but it's good. How about you guys?
Good.
Your week describes my week too.
Yeah, it checks out.
Definitely. We have a 3-year-old who is having a tough time adjusting to preschool, and preschool's having a tough time adjusting to her. So,
Oh no.
yeah, it's tough, but it's okay. It's part of the process. This is not Pepto-Bismol I'm drinking. This is electrolytes with caffeine. Isla took a nap, so I'm going to be up until midnight for sure.
Hi, Michelle.
Hello, everyone.
How are you?
Hello.
Good. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday indeed.
We made it through the week.
Yeah. What a week.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Indeed.
Are you feeling any better, Pooja?
I will get there. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I'll get there. Being patient.
Yeah. This
I
is
can't
Haley.
remember. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just say we've got Haley and Alicia. Well, Alicia and I are here, so
I'm here. I was running around.
Yeah, we can wait another minute or two and see if we get anyone.
Yeah, wait a few minutes.
I'm trying to remember how I did the screen share last time. I mean, I know how to do a screen share, but did I do like a partial screen so I could see people too?
I think you did it normally.
I know
Yeah.
we saw the screen, your screen, but we still saw everyone's faces too. So
Yeah. Well,
But we usually can, can't we?
I think so.
Yeah.
I guess we'll figure it out.
Yeah. TBD.
that works.
I'm excited to talk about your recipes. I won't get into it now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like starting the podcast before you hit record.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
And we're going to have a link to this, right? Is this going to be on the YouTube over on the Food Social YouTube? Okay.
Yeah, and after the live stream, so I'll record this natively on the computer after the fact,
Mm-hmm.
and then it will I'll cut out all this beginning stuff
Okay.
and load it up to YouTube, and then that will get embedded on the foodsocial.io/TV page.
Okay.
So
I just want to change the URL in my tab bio once that's available so that it can live in that, that post.
yeah, definitely.
So.
Yeah, I'll let everyone know. I'll probably do it tomorrow at this point.
Yeah, even the foodsocial.io/TV page. I can even add that as a link to the post that I have afterwards so that people can refer to the video.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. Okay. Either way, I just want to be able to change that URL so that it's not a a link that disappears and doesn't go to anything after. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
and I'm all bundled up in a blanket. It's just so cold here.
It's freezing.
Here too. Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Hello.
Hey,
Penny.
Kenny.
Hello.
Yeah, it is winter, I guess. And Dave just walked by. Hi, Dave. I saw his shadow.
This is Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
Happy belated.
Bill,
happy
you know
belated
Haley. This is Bill. This is Pooja and Elijah.
Alicia.
Alicia, sorry.
Happy belated birthday, Dave.
Thank you.
Same,
Thank you.
Michelle too. It was her birthday too.
Her birthday
Happy
different.
birthday.
Same day as you.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, we have,
Start the November club.
we got snow here that was supposed to melt the next day by the rain and then it never rained. And now we're supposed to be having a deck built any day now. So
Oh, no.
we're gonna have to shovel snow to build our deck.
Well, how appropriate. That's great.
The joy of home ownership.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're learning that the lack of carpet in our house means that it feels way colder in here.
We are learning that also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Us too. Our whole downstairs floor, there's no carpeting. And so that's a curve for our bodies. So
It is.
it's
Do you
okay.
have- Do you have area rugs down or does that not help or you don't have area rugs yet?
Yeah, I have a few, but not really, just mats in my kitchen, to stand on.
Yeah.
And then we don't know what we're doing yet for all, I don't know. It's our couch doesn't fit downstairs. It was supposed to. So we're just redecorating next year. We don't care. We're just,
That's the best part.
yeah.
It's a new house. It's so fun.
Yeah, it is. It's just everything changed anyways. So,
Well, let's go ahead and get started. So
Okay.
just so you all know, this call will indeed be recorded, so we can put it up on YouTube and on our Food Social TV page.
awesome.
So thank you all so much for joining. Michelle and Alicia, we're so excited to hear about your recipes. Just as a refresher, I know we're all very familiar with Food Social and what we're about, but one big thing about Food Social is community. And I feel like this year has become more apparent than ever. And in that community comes getting to put our heads together, like this collaboration, but it also comes with listening to what our creators and brands want. And the reason we started these collaborations was because it was something that was voiced by multiple creators that they wanted the opportunity to work together. So we love seeing that you all just hop on board and work together and come up with these beautiful creations. And we can't wait to see what you've come up with.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun because we all approach food a different way and have different tastes and different likes and dislikes. And so it's just fun to, like you said, put our heads together and come up with something fun. So
Mhm. And I say this all the time. I feel like I say this 3 times a week, but being a recipe creator is a pretty lonely job. And so getting to work together like this and getting to socialize in this way, has filled my cup so much personally. And it's just such a joy to get to connect with all of you on mostly a daily basis.
it is, especially after the last couple of years we've all kind of been through. Just human connection, even this way, is just so needed.
Definitely.
Yeah. And you get to work with people that you would never have the opportunity to work with otherwise too, because we're all in different places.
All over the place. Yeah, I think Haley's the closest to me in terms of mileage.
All right, well, I'm gonna share the stuff on Food Social. Can everybody see it?
Awesome. Okay.
Great.
Alicia, maybe we should start out by just talking about why we kind of came up with this idea of doing something a little bit smaller, in terms of a meal for Thanksgiving, because everyone always talks about it being so, this big, huge thing. But I think after we kind of talked with each other, it was like, well, maybe, not everybody likes to do that. It's intimidating. It's hard.
There's sometimes I think people also want some ideas that aren't traditional, like something
Right.
to kind of change up your normal Thanksgiving meal is sometimes fun. Or if you're doing Friendsgiving, it's nice to have like a dish that you know no one else is going to be bringing because it's not your traditional dish. So I think we wanted to offer people some variety and things that they could bring that people might be like, oh, I never thought of that. And then that people would enjoy as well.
Yeah, and every one of our dishes, I think, can be prepped ahead of time.
Mhm.
Like even the butternut squash puree, that could be made ahead and then warmed up, the day of. So which leaves you just more time for if you do a Friendsgiving, being with your friends and enjoying their company rather than worrying about, things coming out of the oven and timing the turkey to come out and mashing the potatoes and all that. So anyway, so I think that's kind of what we had in mind too. And also this year, I went with a pork option because turkeys are supposedly scarce this year. And if they're around, they're probably more expensive. And so I went with a pork tenderloin because that you can find almost anywhere, Costco, your grocery store, wherever. And so it's an easy protein that's not as intimidating as a whole turkey sometimes, because that can just be really overwhelming sometimes.
And I
if you're feeding
appreciated,
small,
oh, sorry.
yeah,
I
Go ahead.
appreciated you going with the pork because I'm not a fan of turkey. So we don't ever have turkey at Thanksgiving. So it was kind of nice that you went with a protein that wasn't turkey.
yeah. I mean, it's just, and let's say something went wrong. Pork tenderloin are pretty affordable and you haven't wasted a whole bird that you spent a fortune on if, something tragically happens. So I've had Thanksgivings like that where it's like, okay, we're not having turkey. So,
It's like on Christmas Vacation, whenever the turkey like breaks open and it's like really, really dry.
yes.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Alicia, what do you usually have if you don't have turkey?
It depends. Before I was married, we would always have people that didn't have anywhere else to go, friends, people that are in the military to come over, and I would have a different theme every year. So I've done like a Thai theme.
Mm.
Fun.
We would just do different themed meals. And so now it's just kind of depends on what my husband's in the mood for. So it changes every year.
That's fun.
I think this
Yeah.
is such a great idea because so many people don't do the whole big Thanksgiving, and especially
Yeah.
still being on the heels of COVID, they don't have big families come over anymore. And, a lot of people
Right.
just have like 2 to 4 people. So this is awesome. And who wants to cook a 20-pound bird for 4 people?
Exactly. And another thing
We
I love
don't.
about,
Go ahead.
oh, I was just saying another thing I love about your menu is that these like most Thanksgiving dishes you only make on Thanksgiving, right? Like you don't make green bean casserole in July, like you don't roast an entire turkey at different times of year. But what I love about your dishes is you can make these anytime. Like they don't have to be specific to Thanksgiving. So I could use this to just like host a dinner party in general. And I like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what Alicia, that's kind of what we talked about, right? That it's just a versatile kind of holiday. I mean, yeah, it looks fancy. It's really, the pork Wellington, it looks fancy. And that's what's great. It's not that hard to make. It looks like it is, but it's just a nice festive kind of meal if you need it. Or maybe you're hosting a bridal shower or a baby shower or something in the spring. You could still have, anyways, it's just, I think you're right, Pooja. It's just, something that's all year round, not just now. So, so do you want us to
So good.
maybe Alicia, you start with your appetizer and we'll just work our way through the meal that way? Does that sound good?
Sure. Are we just like talking? Sorry, I wasn't here for the last one. So we're just
We're
sharing
making
a
this-
little bit about it.
We're making it all up as we go. So
There are no rules here.
if we do a great job on this one, it's the new standard.
This
So-
are, your inspiration for, this appetizer and,
I guess whenever we do have like holiday gatherings, growing up or even now, we always have like finger foods while people are cooking that people can snack on. And for me, I have a super picky husband who does not eat vegetables. So usually I can get him to at least try something if it has like bacon. So I wanted to wrap the Brussels sprouts in bacon. And then I like to have like a combination of sweet and salty. So the maple glaze gives it that sweet and salty. And I felt like you can never go wrong with a really good aioli. And anything dipped in aioli is delicious. So this is a super, super easy appetizer that you can, like Michelle said, you can make most of these ahead of time. This one you can definitely make ahead of time. Wrap your Brussels sprouts in the bacon and then just baste with the maple syrup before you throw them in the oven. And you can also make the aioli a few days ahead of time and have that just ready in the refrigerator. So it's super easy, but it's really, really good. And I think even if you aren't a Brussels sprout lover, you would like these.
Oh, I agree. It's bacon and Brussels
Looks so
sprouts.
good. I can't wait to try this one.
Yeah, that's like those two flavors together are perfect. You know, I agree. Picky veggie eaters would like this. I think my husband's not a huge veggie eater either. And so I think he would enjoy these though, because yes, bacon.
Can never go wrong adding bacon.
I can't get David to touch any kind of squash, but when we first met, we were shocked to find out that we both loved Brussels sprouts and we could like make a dinner out of Brussels sprouts. It's such an odd vegetable for, both of you to like, there's always
Yeah.
somebody that doesn't want them.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Until they have them like this.
Right.
Right.
I was gonna say
Mhm.
Yep.
this is not the boiled Brussels sprouts of old, the way they
Exactly.
baked. This is a whole nother level.
Beautiful.
What I love about the like maple and bacon combination is that sweet and smoky almost has a barbecue flavor. And as
Mhm.
someone who can't have nightshades, I love that because it's like you get that barbecue taste in your mouth without having
Yeah.
barbecue sauce.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That's true.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting here looking at the basil plant on my counter and I am so making this aioli.
I know. Basil is such a great flavor in an aioli. I just love it.
Mhm.
Okay, so are the wedges next?
Yes.
Okay. Well, on the same topic as Brussels sprouts, cabbage, I also think is an underappreciated vegetable. Is it cruciferous? I can't say that word right. Cruciferous?
There you
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
Close enough.
Yeah. So we started roasting wedges of cabbage years ago because it just, I don't know, it just brings out the crisp. It's kind of like a Brussels sprout, how they get the crispy edges. There's just something about it that transforms it. Roasting any kind of vegetable transforms it, I think. And then I layered in some sheets of prosciutto inside a few of the leaves.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant.
And
So good.
you have, you've got the salty inside with the cabbage roasting in the oven. And it's marinated. It's a rub or a wet marinade, but it's got anchovies, garlic, and thyme. And so the combination, and I didn't want the anchovies to steer anybody away, but it's just a little enough that it adds some umami like the prosciutto does too. So anyways, and then it's just garnished with some balsamic reduction and some chives and pine nuts. And I'm smitten with this because I don't know. I just think it's versatile. You can make the wedges a day ahead. And then when you're ready, throw them on that baking sheet and roast it up. And you've got a tasty side dish that looks like you took a lot of time, but it's really fun.
Stunning. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Mhm. I love roasting cabbage because I love the way it caramelizes and like you said, the way the flavor transforms, but I've never thought to like tuck something in when you roast it.
You know, I watched Top Chef a lot of Top Chef. And a few years ago in one of their quick fire challenges, one of the chefs mentioned that she had done that and it just stuck in my head. And I thought, I should try that and just, either bacon or prosciutto, something that can cook quickly when it's inside the wedge. And I don't know that we'll do it any other way now. It's just the saltiness that it adds to the inside of the cabbage is just.
And I have a question, Michelle, because
Yeah.
I fry up in a pan and it
Mhm.
comes out like bacon and
Yeah.
it's so good on top of burgers.
Yeah.
Does that happen when it's like, does it kind of get that like crispy or does it stay moister because of the cabbage
Well,
wrapped around it or?
The outside edge will get crispy. If you wanted to leave a little bit more of an edge outside on it will definitely get crispy. But the inside, where it's inside the wedge, depending on how tight your cabbage head is, because
Right.
as
that
we
makes sense.
know, you slice a cabbage, some are really tight, some are not
Right.
as tight. But it does, the inside is probably not as crispy as the outside, unless you intentionally fan it out a lot before you cook it, you know?
Great, which I think is actually great because the edges on the outside being that little bit of crispy is yum.
Yeah, and the longer you let this go in the oven, the crispier the cabbage will get on the outside edges and the prosciutto. So
I love that you added the balsamic reduction too.
Mhm.
I love adding that to like just anything because it just adds like a burst of flavor that's so good. So
yeah,
I'm
it's
excited to
kind of
try this one.
the sweet and salty, like your Brussels
Mhm.
sprouts. It's not a syrup, but balsamic vinegar just makes your glands squirt, right back here. So.
Mhm.
Totally.
Okay, these look so good, Alicia. I can't wait to hear about these.
Mm-hmm.
So years ago, I used to partner with a sommelier and we did wine tastings in people's homes. And this is a dish that I made to pair with one of the wines years ago. And it was a huge hit. Everybody loved it. People asked me for the recipe. And I haven't made it in a really, really long time. The original recipe, I made it with heavy cream. So you can, if you're not dairy free, you can definitely make this with heavy cream. So I decided to remake it with coconut milk and it turned out perfect. You get, if you like super, super spicy, you can add more of the chipotles, but just like a tablespoon gives it enough of a kick to offset the sweetness of the sweet potatoes and then the creaminess. So it kind of all just blends in. This is another recipe that doesn't have a lot of ingredients, but it's one that people are usually wowed by. And that's always the best. Easier, the better. And then people think that it took a lot of work. It has a lot of ingredients and it really doesn't. And so I love recipes like that. So I wanted to include this in our holiday recipe roundup because you traditionally see like scalloped potatoes with cheese or like are usually very cheesy and creamy. So I just wanted to give a little spin and share this recipe that people used to love.
Love it.
Oh,
So-
yeah. And chipotle, even though it's heat, it adds a smoky flavor too, that
Mhm.
not every
Mhm.
pepper contributes to the party, if you will, which I love. I use chipotle chili powder and chipotles anytime I can. I love that spice. So
Beautiful. I love zooming in on these and just feeling like I'm like right there with the dish. Like,
About
let's
to
eat it
eat
right
it.
now.
Yeah, this looks so good.
Yeah, it
I think,
does.
I think this would feel like the premise of all of this is so neat because these are dishes that you can make anytime and they
Mhm.
fit in like a really unique
Mhm.
twist of Thanksgiving. How cool would it be to take this to a traditional Thanksgiving and everybody would just be like, what is this? This is so neat.
yeah.
Love this one.
And no
What a neat-
marshmallows on top.
Right?
Yeah.
No marshmallows, no
marshmallows.
brown sugar.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan. I grew up eating those kind of sweet potatoes, but it's so sweet. It's just so sweet.
It's more like
Um,
dessert than a side dish. This is
Yeah,
like
it
a side dish
is.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah. All right. So the butternut squash puree, so like I mentioned in the intro of this, we have a favorite restaurant here in the middle of Utah. You have to drive 4 hours to get to it. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it's one of the 5-star restaurants that we have here in our state. And it was up for James Beard nominations, but they serve a butternut squash puree with many of their entrees. And it just blows my mind every time I eat it. And so I thought it would be fun to pair this with the pork Wellington that I made, but theirs is a little bit sweeter and I'm sure they used sugar or maple syrup or brown sugar or something. I just used an apple that you bake along with the butternut squash just to give it a little bit of sweetness. And then I used a sweet onion as well, also roasted in the oven, because again, roasting things in the oven just releases a lot of their natural sugars and natural sweetness. And so while mine's not as sweet and theirs is much thinner, it's more of a, a baby food texture, I would say, just really thin. This one I just left a little bit meatier, if you will, just because you can either serve it like you would a mashed potato and leave it really thick, but I thinned it out a little bit so it plates nice underneath the pork Wellington. But it's just a really subtly sweet, different way to enjoy butternut squash, because I'm not a huge squash fan at all. But after tasting this puree enough times, I'm like, I do like squash. And so with the apple, there's just enough sweetness that, I think it's really enjoyable. So, and then fresh.
I love butternut. I mean, so much that like every time we see it in the supermarket this time of year, I'm buying even the pre-cut organic and I freeze it. So I have it over the winter when it's not available.
Oh,
I never thought to puree it. Never. I've cooked it every which way I find. I've never thought to puree it.
there you go. There you go. Yeah, I just think roasting it and then pureeing it with the roasted apples and onion, just the layers of flavor. And then I just went with traditional sage. You could use thyme or whatever herb you like. I garnished it with some thyme because I think it's, prettier than sage leaves on top.
Yeah.
But anyways, the family members here that tried it were just like loving it. So I just, and again, I like squash this way. I didn't know I did.
Yeah. I mean, I've had it like I make butternut soup, but I never thought to serve it as a side this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So-
Beautiful.
I'm
So
loving that the main protein that I'm seeing on this menu is it's like pork in all the ways.
I know. I'm thinking that.
I was just gonna say that.
we have a pork theme going on here. I didn't even realize it until after it all came together.
Completely unintentional, but clearly we were on the same wavelength, even though we didn't talk about that. So that's really fun though.
So these green beans are another super easy recipe that usually people go crazy for, because you have the very simple ingredients, but you have the mixture of the salty and the sweet. And the pancetta is going to give it a little bit of a different flavor than like if you use bacon or prosciutto, obviously. But like my husband isn't a foodie and he eats like, you wouldn't believe that he lives with me the way that he eats. So I can trick him and just tell him that there's bacon on these. And he will eat them. He'll pick around the figs, but he will eat the rest. And so it's another way I can get some sort of vegetable into him. But otherwise, other people like the dried figs mixed with the salty flavor of the pancetta. And when you cook them in the pan and you add the dried figs, some of the fat from the pancetta kind of brings them back to life. So it's not as dried or chewy as a dried fig. It's lighter and is just a little bit more appealing when you're eating it with a green bean. And then it has the variety of textures with the toasted almonds to give things a little bit of a crunch, along with not overcooking your green beans. You still have that little bit of a crunch. So it's kind of got a mixture of flavors and textures.
I love that. And I never thought of putting figs with a vegetable like that.
Right.
I mean, it's beautiful and it
Beautiful, too.
sounds delicious. Yeah, it's just beautiful.
I love like toasted sliced almonds on anything. They just add such a layer of complexity to any dish that it's always good.
I
Yeah.
also feel like Michelle's balsamic glaze would go on like every one of these dishes so far. It could go on top of all of it, like gravy. It could be like gravy.
Yeah. Yes. And it can be, and maybe has here. I'm not going to say anything, but We do keep it on hand. It's just delicious. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm blown away with the simplicity yet how beautifully complex these are with 5, 6 ingredients. It's very California style, all these recipes. I think there's just
Yeah,
I'm
there's
really
something,
intrigued.
yeah, just letting the food be itself and just highlight it a little bit with a little bit. And because food is just beautiful. I mean, so.
Yeah.
And I feel like our menu isn't going to be intimidating. So like all the sides have a limited ingredients,
Yeah.
which kind of makes it a little more affordable too for people.
Mm.
With the price of groceries going up, I think it kind of makes it easier where you're not having to buy like a bunch of stuff because everything kind of has a limited ingredient. And just makes it easier. So you're like the average cook isn't going to be overwhelmed by what they have to do to make these recipes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
This menu is probably coming in at about half the price of a traditional Thanksgiving per serving. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, pork Wellington. So who hasn't watched Gordon Ramsay make a beef Wellington? Or maybe it's just me, but I have watched him make it so many times. And if you're not, I'm a huge I watch so many food shows, but it's super intimidating to try and think about even making a beef Wellington because a beef tenderloin is not cheap. It is. And so I've never
Blown it.
tried it because who wants to ruin $100 piece of meat,
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so, so this, I did some internet searching because I didn't know if calling something other than a beef Wellington, a Wellington was appropriate, in terms of what it is culturally correct. But I started Googling it and there's so many recipes and I didn't see even Gordon Ramsay, being upset that someone was calling it a pork Wellington versus beef Wellington. So because I wanted to be careful about that, but there were so many recipes for it. And so I did a variation of Alton Brown's, who is a foodie, legend, and use some whole grain mustard from True Primal, because pairing the pork with a fruity flavor and element and the acid from the mustard is important. So basically and I do have a reel ready, Pooja, that I can send to you so I can have that available too, because it looks intimidating, but really it's just putting apples inside the tenderloin, wrapping prosciutto, wrapping it in prosciutto, and then rolling out the pastry, laying down some mustard, and then rolling it up in the pastry and baking it. It's just, there's a lot of steps, but it can be done the day ahead and sit and wait for you in the fridge. So yeah, see all the steps. There's a lot of steps, but
Well, it's one of those things that's so intimidating that you have to give a ton of information so people know exactly what to do.
Yeah. And it cooks really fast. Like you don't want to overcook pork because then it gets really dry. And so the trick for me in testing was making sure the pork didn't overcook, but the pastry got done, because you just don't want a dry pork tenderloin on the inside. And I think the dried apples on the inside help keep it a little bit moist, because they're dehydrated apples. So the pork, as it cooks, kind of softens those up and lends a lot of moisture to the inside. So, and then it's just sliced and I served with the butternut squash puree. And the prosciutto has fresh thyme and salt and pepper on it before you roll it up. But again, it was delicious. I was struck how much, again, the squash, I liked it with the slice of the Wellington. So
It's restaurant worthy, honest to God.
well, thank you. But I couldn't find any gluten-free pork Wellington. So here you go. It's,
So
And it's a nice use of your
The
pie
pie
crust.
yes. And it's traditionally made with a puff pastry. as well, which this is not a puff pastry. And so as it bakes, it does crack a little bit, but depending on the size of your pork tenderloin, that probably wouldn't happen. This was a mammoth one, and you just never know. Sometimes you get a tenderloin that's about this big. And I opened the package and it was this big, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, we're rolling with it. So
Yeah.
Literally.
literally you're rolling with it. So anyway, so I had a great fun time experimenting and making that a reality. So
Thank you both so much. Thank you for working together on this and coming up with such a unique menu. And like Bill said, I think what's really special is how like simple these dishes are, but they let the ingredients sing, and they're just all such a like masterful combination of ingredients, and that all like lift each other up the way we lift each other up. Oh my gosh.
yes.
So
Well,
So
it was super fun to work with Alicia. She's newer. I'm technically a little newer too, Alicia, because I have only been with Food Social since I think early June or late May. So we're both kind of newbies in that regard. So it was super fun to collaborate and work together. I think we pulled off something lovely and delicious.
It was a lot of fun to work together and develop this menu.
Yeah, super fun. So thanks for making a platform where we can do this and share fun things like this. I think moving forward, it's just gonna, keep getting bigger and more fun. So.
Yeah. I love the collaboration you two did together. I think that menu is so unique and thoughtful, surprisingly thoughtful. And just listening to both of you talk about your recipes, this is my favorite part of the whole process, is the insight behind the recipes that sort of gives them life. So I'm so glad you both shared this today. It's so interesting to think about this before Thanksgiving for those that celebrate it, because there are definitely dishes here that make me think twice about a traditional Thanksgiving, and how can you brighten it up with even just one of these dishes would make your traditional Thanksgiving so much more interesting. And so I really appreciate that you both shared your creative talents here. I'm so impressed. Michelle, I know you're a good collaborator, and Alicia, I have not really looked super closely at your work before, but I certainly will now, because I'm just
Thank you.
you're both just so talented. So thank you so much.
Well, thanks. It was a joy, truly.
It was a lot of fun.
Yep.
thank you so much. Can't wait to see what else comes from these collaborations, and we're just off to such a great start.
I know. I'm excited, and we're done. Boom. You guys
I'm a little intimidated now.
Yeah, I know. You set the bar really high.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
No, you know what? No. Like I always say, this is just, we're here for everyone. I mean, we're all in it together. So any way we can support any of the rest of the, collaborations moving forward, we're here for it. So
I'm excited to see what everybody else comes up with.
I know. And then we just get to partake and not do the work.
Right?
So our next one is going to be, oh
December
gosh, I should have
16th.
had the date in front of me. What is it, Pooja?
December 16th, 4 weeks from today.
Yeah.
December 16th. So it's kind of right squarely in the middle of
Yeah.
some of the bigger winter holidays. And I think the not spoiler alert view is that we're going to have a couple of groups that are going to be presenting some New Year's Eve menus, which
Right, yeah,
I'm
we're
very excited
we're gonna
about
try
that.
and do ours sometime in December as well. So that if anybody wants to have the New Year's Eve bites, they'll have the recipe like you suggested, Bill. So,
Yeah,
Very exciting.
yeah, wonderful.
Awesome. Well, have a wonderful weekend and a great Thanksgiving.
yes, you
Yes.
guys too.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Definitely enjoy. Thanks, everyone. So fun.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.